This is the Up on the Soapbox podcast, a production of Soapbox Marketing Communication. The foundational goal for the Soapbox is to host and foster a simple, yet dynamic online environment which helps initiate and develop personal business connections by way of purposeful, one-on-one conversation. The Soapbox is redefining how communication is done in the promotional products industry. I am Brett Schaefer, and along with my partner and co-host Dan Piggott, we bring you Up on the Soapbox. Hello. Welcome to Up on the Soapbox. This is episode 5. With me today is my partner, Dan Piggott.
Hey, everybody.
Hi, Dan.
Did
it
anyway.
So here we go. This is a great episode. Today we have another one of our Soapbox founding suppliers with us, and we're bound to learn some incredible nuggets of information. The beauty of this whole podcast is we learn as we go as well. So we're looking forward to hearing from our special guest today. With us is Michael Snyder, the Vice President of Sales and Marketing from Bishop, the Custom Clothing Experts, and Edwards Company. So we got a lot to learn. Michael's going to break down his signature on his email for us today. We're going to learn about what he's done in promo and what he's bringing to us today and to our distributorships who are part of the Soapbox as part of the Bishop Company. Michael, tell us what's going on with you, and let us learn a little bit about your situation here, and give us some insight as to who Michael Snyder is.
You bet. Well, thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate the opportunity. And first and foremost, I want to congratulate you both on this platform. A lot of virtual stuff happening lately. This one, not trying to make you feel good because I'm on your podcast. This one's the best in terms of how it's arranged and how we get to talk individually with people and really make progress. And I just love it. And I love the spacing of it. You guys just did a great job. So I appreciate it. And as such, thrilled to be part of this. So my whirlwind journey here, I always preface myself as an apparel dork during presentations. And you know, that always has a few people go, what? So since 1884, our family has been in apparel. So I am the 4th generation, and our clothing store was founded in 1884. It's no longer there. I'll explain why. But ever since I was 14, that's all I've known, right? Is that world, whether I was just cutting boxes or dusting suits or hats or, you know, whatever. But in working the store, you know, by the time I was 16, I was selling, you know, $400, $500, $600 suits. And I wasn't taking crap from anybody, right? Because at this point, I had 2 years in, man. I was a pro. And so early on, just started selling, right? Because that's what we did. And I was in apparel. So kind of that set the groundwork. I also had an uncle who was just like Santa Claus, and about 5 other fun things wrapped up. So anyway, I love selling, got into apparel. And it expanded. We closed the store basically because nobody's wearing suits anymore, right? It's like, why? What are you, naked? What are you guys wearing? They're like, nah, dude, we're just wearing polos like now with our company logo on it. I'm like, oh, that's pathetic. That's terrible, right? Not even catching at the moment. So we closed the store just because, you know, inevitable kind of dynamics, and went out and did custom suits in Baltimore, Maryland for a company called Haas Tailoring. So a lot of NFL, NBA, military brass. It was really fun. Like we were just making stuff from scratch.
Did you do the Hall of Fame jackets for the NFL maybe? No.
We did not. But I remember that one of the last projects, the Temptations were going down the line. Shaquille O'Neal's suit, which is a suit, which is longer than a top coat, which is dragging on the floor. $2,000 suit. I'm like, whoa. And long story short, my dad said, I want you home. You know, you're not an East Coast guy. You get back here to the Midwest. And he found an ad in the newspaper. And I thank Terry Tobeck and Mike Hurley up in the Minneapolis area. They were looking for a sub rep. And at the time, those 2 brands were Aspen Gold and Mountain Gear. Now those morphed over time. So I repped with them. You know, loved it, was very successful, and they allowed me to kind of branch off on my own. But Mountain Gear turned into Tri-Mountain, to which I worked with them directly for a while. And Aspen Gold turned into Rivers End Trading Company. Rick Sesri and I, and Rick's probably my best friend and mentor in the industry, we came up with the name Rivers End Trading Company. And so I've been in this industry now coming up on over 30 years. I've been in apparel next year, 40 years. So I am a lifer. in it. So after Mountain Gear, Rick Sessery and I have worked together, Rivers End Trading Company, Tri Mountain. I worked with him at Hartwell. Recently, Trimark. I was kind of a key player in building Trimark's US apparel effort. It was a Canadian company, PCNA bought them. That was a wonderful run. And then when I left that, Norm Bishop, everybody's like, you got to meet Norm. I'm like, why? Who is this guy? Dude, you got to meet him. He's like you. He's weird. He's kind of a unicorn. He's really excited about apparel. And I'm like, oh, okay. And met him. And within a half hour, we were finding a way to work together. We were. That was wonderful. Came on board with him as his number 2 guy. And then quietly, Norm did want to have his company acquired, but he wanted to stay with it. And along came my buddy Rick Sessery and Edwards Garment Company. And it seems like 2 extremes, Edwards and Bishop. It's a wonderful marriage. We've had a great, great run. Bishop's on a tear in terms of growth. So it's just been a wonderful journey. I love this industry. I mean, you guys, your personality kind of just speaks to the industry, right? It's great salesmanship, but it's also whimsy. And we know what we sell. And at times it is complex and professional. Other times it's just fun. How can you not like this, right?
Well, in the early 2000s, I was a multi-line manufacturer's rep, and I repped a company called Trimark. And so I wonder if we were there at the same time. When were you there?
So Trimark bought LA Loving.
Yeah.
Well, that was us. So
yeah.
I came.
I still have samples, I think, with LA Loving label.
I came when we came together. I'm like, "What's a La Loving?" And all the LA Loving people were like, "Dude, it's LA Loving." I'm like, "All right, whatever."
Yeah, we carried that in the Northeast for about four years.
Well, there you go.
And we have something in common. See, every week I learn something on this, show.
How'd you wind up in Florida?
Florida was recent. I'm a Wisconsin boy. I was dragged down to Chicago by my wife. Lived in a wonderful suburb called Glen Ellen. And then our parents would come down to Naples, Florida, both of our parents. And we always visited, always loved it. And boy, did we pick a good year to move, because it's just been brutal up there. But just loved it. Came down, said, what are we doing? Why? And in a COVID world, right? Suddenly, look at what we're doing, right? You can work from anywhere. And this is a wonderful place to work from.
Talk to us a little bit about Bishop, because they do things differently. And I want to give you the chance to explain that this isn't just another apparel company. They're, the customization and all the things and all the capabilities. So just give us a little thumbnail on what Bishop is all about, please.
Sure. The way I describe Bishop in layman's terms is bar napkin custom, right? So there's a lot of people out there that'll do custom work, but the reality is that they're semi-custom, right? They're taking something templated and use these fabrics and use those styles. And we truly go out and look. We don't advertise. We actually use medias like you to really surgically find the right fit for what we do, because we're not for everybody. But we've set ourselves apart. We have the luxury of working with the biggest names and organizations in the world through our creative partners, of course. But it's because we do build from scratch, right? We are building from the ground up, and we say bar napkin. We've received bar napkins, right? And we're the ones that have to kind of look at it and go, okay, let's make this happen. So building, from fabric, and our design work is just, it's phenomenal. So
now,
there's just...
What's the relationship between Edwards there? Is one hand wash the other? Is there some synergies where you work together, or is it really kept quite as...
no, definite synergies. The reason Edwards bought us is Edwards is in the uniform space, right? And so they really are doing, healthcare and all these kind of specific industries. They do suitings, they do pants. But they would inevitably at their major trade shows, everybody winning awards would be somebody like Cintas, because custom product, right, is needed. You're not going to win an award unless you're building it. It's just the way it is. And so Edwards said, you know what, let's not try to do this. Our factories, and the factories of any stocking supplier, Trimark, doesn't matter who, Sanmar, they're not set up for custom. They're set up to run stuff, right, constantly, big numbers. And you ask them for a favor and they're like, I don't want to build that. That's a pain in the ass. So at Bishop for 20 years, building it from scratch, Edwards looked over and said, for God's sake, let's just buy it. Right? Let's buy that knowledge. And so now we're just starting to scratch the surface of what we can do together. We're great companies apart, but we really are now that full package that if you want to go in and attack a major uniform program, we're an awful good partner, right, between the two. And it's been a wonderful ride and very successful. We're blessed.
Very good. All right, so the business part of the podcast has officially come to a close.
That's right. Now the wheels fall off. Is that right?
That's exactly it. So expect
Excellent.
the unexpected, as we were discussing earlier. So it's time to step up on the soapbox. So today, I think Dan, I'm going to start with you. Let's why don't you take a stand and let us know what's on your mind today.
Right. Okay. So I actually changed my up on the soapbox moment at the last minute. I was going to start a rant, and I was going to start an anti-emoji rant. Okay. I'm an anti-emoji guy, and I was going to carry on about that. And then I realized every text message from now for the rest of my life would be nothing but emojis. I did say that. So I'm not going to say that. So I'm not saying that officially. That is not my position. But last week, you had mentioned you're a music fan. I'm a music fan. Obviously, Michael's a music fan, and we can touch on that in a minute. But one of my favorite things, what I'm going to do today is stand on the soapbox and talk about one of my favorite apps on my phone. And that is one that got onto the front page of my phone. Right there with the most important apps is this little guy called Shazam. And look, everybody, I think a lot of people know about Shazam, but I use this thing like 3 times a day. It's crazy. And once we start getting it, for those of you that don't know what it is, you listen to a song, any song that's playing, all you have to do is touch Shazam and it will tell you what song you're listening to. But we use it on Netflix all the time. We use it streaming shows. You're watching a show and you hear this great song come on, bam, you hit Shazam, it adds to your Spotify playlists, and you're just rolling. So I'm just a huge fan of it. I'm not really a musician per se, but I'm an aficionado, and I'm different than a lot of people in their musical taste. Most people you meet like what they sort of grew up with, and it's kind of that I have this insatiable desire for the next thing. So I love, what I grew up with. I cut my teeth on it, but I still continue to look for the next thing. And this has just been a great tool for me to discover new artists and new genres and everything else. So a big shout out on my soapbox today to Shazam, the app.
And would you mind holding that up again, Dan? Because I could have sworn I saw Celine Dion was your most recent Shazam on there.
Okay. Well, now you're trying to make fun of me, and I'm very sensitive. So that's no.
Dan. I'm not making fun. Heart emoji. I'm sorry. Heart emoji to you. I apologize for that.
Shazams. The last one is Only You Know by Dion.
All right. Fair enough.
That must have just been from some Netflix show we were watching. So
I happen to agree.
Not the most exciting soapbox platform moment in the world, but for those people that love music and don't know about Shazam, I'm highly recommending it.
The other thing that Shazam is really convenient for is when you're playing music bingo. You didn't hear that from me, but when you're playing music bingo and you're trying to fill out all the squares, and there may be a tune that you can't remember the song name or the artist, throw on Shazam, put it on the table, and you wind up winning.
Yes, another word for cheating.
What? I didn't say that. All right, so I don't think I can argue with that. Michael, can you? I mean,
I'm actually going to load it. I don't have it. I'm going to load it.
It's so cool. You're going to love it. It used to be you'd walk through a shopping mall or something. And you're like, what song is that? And I take my phone out. And I'm like, oh, cool. I got it. And it adds it to, it creates an automatic Spotify playlist, by the way. Every Shazam you have is already on your Spotify. So you got those there too. It's pretty neat.
The problem I have is most of the music I listen to is live. And it doesn't register with Shazam. And of course but it does have 30 minutes to try to figure out that song, as you alluded to before, Dan, because all the songs I listen to average 22 minutes or more. So, but that is the limitation, but I love Shazam. It's definitely a go-to for me. All right. On that note, I'm going to actually kind of stick with a similar type of theme, although it's not necessarily music related per se, but it is about the death of communication between people in person. And what I mean by that is these damn things, AirPods, headphones, earbuds, all of these things are signaling the death of interpersonal communication. I deal with 3 teenagers. I have 2 in my house that are in high school. My son, my youngest, he's 14, always has these in his ears. I have to repeat myself 6 times before he knows to take them out, and then I'm actually being serious. Usually it involves a yell before those are removed from his ears.
Mm.
I can't stand them. I know kids today communicate in different ways, generally by texting or Snapchat or Instagrams. They don't text. Texting is not for their generation. They use apps to communicate. But these things are the death of me. They are causing me to go crazy. They're stuck in their ears at all times, all hours of the day. I can't stand them. That's
So,
it.
I mean, are you up to your ears with this?
You might say that. I've heard that. Yeah. Okay. So
But
that's
I like
my.
it. And I like how you say I'm dealing with 3 teenagers. I mean, I think the word is raising 3 teenagers, isn't it?
Well, I guess technically one just turned 20, so he's now out of his teens. So 2 teenagers, and yes, dealing with.
Yes, fine. Okay.
That's my soapbox moment today. Any concerns about that, or are we all in
No,
agreement?
you seem a little upset. You seem a little angry.
Passionate. Passionate's the word.
Yeah, I would recommend a nap or something later on.
All right, Michael, I think you're up here. So why don't you tell us what's on your mind today?
All right. Well, this is spawned from a heated bar argument. I think we all realize the wisest phraseology comes out of sitting in a bar, right? And it was, well, let me preface to say, in this COVID world and this political BS and all of this, I have started going back to the shows that just make you feel good, right? Go back to a different time, and I don't care who gives me crap about it. We've been binge watching Little House on the Prairie. I'm like that Nellie. Oh, she's nothing but trouble. And so anyway, you start talking about throwback shows. And I use Isaac from The Love Boat, right? The bartender. And I've got my favorite image that I always send to the reps is him doing the double guns, right? Isaac. And so we started talking about The Love Boat, and I said, well, it's a great show until, Vicky. And they're like, dude, whoa, that's cold. And I go, hey, it's part of this whole jumping the shark theme where shows are ruined when they bring in the little kid. I love little kids, by the way. I had them. But Vicky came in, right? And I go, it's bad mojo. And he goes, whoa, well, does this happen a lot? And I go, Scrappy Doo, dude, Scrappy Doo. Like, is there any bigger example? And he's like, whoa. And then I'm like, Oliver, Brady Bunch. I go, that was horrible. And he's like, how many of these are there? And I'm like, there's a lot. There's a lot, and it's a problem. And I go, and I kind of have to head this off. And then the one you guys will love is then I threw out the great kazoo.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Flintstones. Oh, terrible.
And I'm like, that little green. And all of a sudden we got in a fight because he goes, yeah, but he's not young. And I go, what? Yeah, he is. He's small. He goes, he's small, but he's not young. And then, damn it, I go look it up, and he's like this old guy.
He's old.
Like body form. I'm like, damn it. So after my great argument, I ended up losing on the last note. But,
well, listen, this is deep. I mean, it's obvious. You're making a point here. Does it continue to happen? Can you reference anything from the last, I don't know, 4 decades where this might have occurred?
You can look right to young Sheldon.
You've really thought you've torn this apart.
Yeah, this is like, I'll be sitting there with the Ham's beer at the bar going, hey, help me out, people.
Yeah.
Well, I will say that in today's version of Up on the Soapbox, you and I, Michael, sound like really angry old men. And Dan comes out of this one.
Actually, just one of the funnest, light-hearted people. But yeah, this is clearly it's a problem.
I can't really find a way to poke holes in this. You brought up some incredible arguments, cited some examples that are bulletproof, frankly. I mean, I'm a Brady Bunch aficionado. Oliver was awful. Yep. And I never really took it apart like that. But thank you for enlightening me today.
We got 6 kids. There's plenty of material. We didn't need Oliver.
Did the Partridge Family go down that dangerous path as well? I forget.
I don't think so.
No. Played it straight. Okay.
All right. So we're gonna wrap this up with our yes/no question, and by wrap it up, I don't necessarily mean it's over in like 20 seconds because typically this conversation could go on for quite some time. But here's our yes/no question for you today, Michael. So this is topical. I don't know if you're any bit of a NASA or space nerd, I'd like to think that I am. I'm certainly interested in watching what's going on in the world of space exploration. Love watching all the SpaceX stuff that's been going on, and certainly NASA, what they have happening. And you probably know a few days back that rover landed up on Mars, the Perseverance. So the question for you today is, and it's a yes/no question, is will Perseverance find evidence of life on Mars?
Yes.
Wow. Didn't even have to think, didn't have to think about that one.
Nope. I was watching it the other day, and I was reading about the technology built into that thing. And
Yeah.
I'm like, damn, they're going to find something. That thing's a piece of work.
But what do you think they're going to find? I mean, you think this is going to be like way deep below the surface, or they're going to find, yeah.
I think deep down, and they'll find, it's just going to be some little microscope of something, but they'll find it.
So let me be clear here. You're going to find evidence of life or past life.
Ooh, damn.
I mean, are you making the statement that we are not alone?
No, I'm going to say past life,
Okay.
not life.
Okay.
I'm most interested to see how this plays out when they try to retrieve the samples and bring them back to Earth. I think that's going to be really interesting.
Yeah. When is that supposed to be?
Years down the line.
Yeah.
I don't even think that they have the craft built to go up there and retrieve it quite yet. I think it's just part of the plan. I could be
Okay.
wrong on that, but
Yeah.
fascinating stuff nonetheless. So,
Well, thank you, Dr. Bishop. We appreciate you checking in with your learned opinion.
yeah, you've done a great job today. Thank you for joining us and being with us. Again, Michael Snyder, the Vice President of Sales and Marketing at Bishop. You can see Bishop and Michael on the Soapbox. Thanks for being here today.
My pleasure. Thanks for the opportunity.